The following feature presentation is part of the Skywalking Network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 524 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
Other people's opinions don't mean much. The only thing that really means something is what you do and what you feel about it.
These guys, they get very much in their heads. They're very passionate about what they're talking about, and that was very clear.
Now, I'm sure if you had only one guess as to who was to moderate, your clear answer would have been rapper Queen Latifah.
George Lucas's force is narrative art. Narrative art binds the galaxy together.
Are you ready?
Off to Neverland!
Here we go!
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
When I first made Star Wars, everybody in Hollywood said, well, this is a movie Disney should have made.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Best day ever!
Secrets loud.
It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Hey.
When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
When we visit the world of Disney, we never grow old. It's a Peter Pan, Never Land that keeps us young in heart.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are skywalking through Neverland. I have a good feeling about this.
Hey, Skywalkers! In this episode, we review the high points of the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art panel from San Diego Comic-Con. If you weren't there, don't worry, we have your backs. We recorded the whole panel, and now you can watch it on our YouTube channel. But before you do that, we want to welcome you back to Skywalking Through Neverland. I am Richard Woloski, but now everyone please say hello to my sweetie wife Sarah, who was very, very busy this week putting together all those little Instagrammable opus clips.
Yes. We couldn't make you wait for the whole panel of Lucas on our YouTube channel, so we put out a bunch of reels. We have sound bites from Lucas, sound bites from Doug Chiang, sound bites from Guillermo del Toro, and of course, Queen Latifah.
Oh, yes. And all those little videos can be found on Instagram and our YouTube channel.
That's right. Skywalkers, we are your enthusiastic podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars, Disney, Marvel, and pop culture fandom. So imagine a big Wookiee hug from us and just that little sprinkle of pixie dust to help you get through your week for our family of Skywalkers.
All right, now we are being sponsored by Small World Vacations, and they are a diamond-level Disney vacation planner travel agency that can help you book your trip to a Disney park around the world, a Disney cruise, or the Universal theme parks. And best of all, this service is free of charge. So head over there to smallworldvacations.com for a no-obligation price quote and tell them Skywalking Through Neverland sent you, and you can even do it in the Peter Brady squeaky voice like me.
Peter, I don't know how to tell you this, but well, I'm afraid your voice is changing.
By Friday, my voice is going to be just swell.
Yeah, Richard, you used your voice a lot over the weekend.
Yeah.
And you also use your voice in your daily job.
Yeah,
so
I do a lot of yelling in my day-to-day life.
It's kicking your butt, and just everyone. So San Diego Comic-Con kicked our butt.
When you see our trivia panel party video sometime next week, you'll understand why my voice is sounding like this. like Peter Brady after he's been yelling about going into puberty. But
don't worry, a lot of this episode will be excerpts from the Lucas Museum panel.
Yes. Little of me talking. Who am I kidding?
I wasn't going to say that.
No.
Okay.
If you haven't noticed, I like to talk. A lot. And yell.
That's right. We are recording this episode from Long Beach, California on July 30th. 2025. So, Richard, what happened today in Star Wars history?
Let's go back to this date, July 30th, 2017, 8 years ago, and wish everyone a happy Mark Hamill Day.
Woohoo!
A ceremony is held as a residential street in San Diego, California, is dedicated in honor of Mark Hamill, hence Mark Hamill Day. They weren't really clear on this is going to be a yearly thing, Mark Hamill Day, or just that one day thing. Let's do it every year.
Yeah, sounds good.
So Mark Hamill lived in the neighborhood on Castellan Drive, aka Mark Hamill Drive, because his father was in the Navy, and the family moved a lot from Oakland, California to Japan to San Diego, where Mark Hamill attended 12 schools.
My goodness.
Yeah, in San Diego County.
Wow.
All right, now here is a clip of Mark expressing how meaningful this is.
It's impossible to put into words what this means, and I don't want to overstate it because it's not about how wonderful I am. It's just the connection to my old neighborhood that's especially meaningful to me. You know, I didn't really have, I said when I spoke earlier that I didn't want to leave San Diego, and for them to welcome me back this way is just beyond my wildest dreams.
So I'm wondering why we didn't make that little pilgrimage to Mark Hamill Drive when we were just there a few days ago. Oh,
you know, it's Comic-Con.
It's Comic-Con. We were so busy. So having action figures made of you, having a street named after you, what else can you say that you would want done if you were in this kind of a place in pop culture?
I mean, what, star on Hollywood Boulevard, right? Star on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah, that's...
Even though people walk all over you, it's still one of those things, right? Beyond like an Oscar or an Emmy or the awards. Right, right.
Forget those. I just want a street named after me and an action figure and a star. And let's see what else. Oh, well, you had this. Someone went trick-or-treating once as Jedi Tink.
Yeah.
I think that's right up there with having a street named after you.
That is really neat.
Yeah. Hopefully someday someone will go trick-or-treating as me.
Aww.
It's good. I'm yelling trick-or-treat up and down the street, just yelling as loud as you can so your voice sounds like this.
Well, next time we're in San Diego, we'll definitely have to make a pit stop to see the sign. We'll have to write that in our Google Calendar along with San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, now, speaking of San Diego, let's go back to San Diego Comic-Con and discuss highlights of the Lucas Museum coming in 2026.
He's the reason we're here today. Please welcome for the first time ever at Comic-Con. Give it up for the one, the only, George Lucas!
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time at San Diego Comic-Con, Mr. George Lucas.
On Sunday, July 27th, George Lucas, along with Lucasfilm's Senior Vice President and Executive Design Director Doug Chiang, and filmmaker Guillermo del Toro were guests at a highly anticipated panel highlighting the upcoming Lucas Museum of Narrative Art that will be right here in Los Angeles. This will be the world's first institution dedicated to the exploration of narrative art, celebrating illustrated storytelling across eras and cultures, from ancient cave drawings and children's book illustrations to comic books and digital media.
Now, I'm sure if you had only one guess as to who was to moderate, your clear answer would have been rapper Queen Latifah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, the only name that came to my mind. Now, there were so many Instagrammable moments in this panel that we thought we would go over the highlights.
Yes. Now, before we get into the panel, I really want to talk about the anticipation of this panel. And also, we're going to take it all the way back to 2019, because that's when we attended the first ever Lucas Museum panel at San Diego Comic-Con. And this was back when the museum was projected to open in 2021. There's an article on our website that I wrote, and this is what it said. I was like, oh my gosh, 2021. Now it's how many years later it's going to open?
What happened between 2019 and 2021 that could have prevented the museum from opening?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
All right. Well, there we saw concept art of the building for the first time, which I knew blew us away, and also some details about the art that it would showcase.
Now, we're going to put the panel in the show notes.
Yeah, we will.
That panel.
I'm going to link that.
That was the panel that we were hoping to get today.
Right. We recorded that whole panel as well. So you can, I'll put both of those videos in the show notes. Yeah.
Now, since we live in Los Angeles, this museum is only 25-ish minutes away. Mm-hmm. So whenever we would go by USC, which is it's right outside, the museum is right outside of USC. Whenever we would drive by, we'd always go by the museum and see what the progress is, how it's shaping up. It's always behind this big chain link fence, but still, it was right there. Yeah. It's right there, right within reach. So whenever we'd go there, we'd always put a hand on the sign.
I know.
Almost there.
Yeah, and it's so exciting. I mean, we've been following this project since the museum was projected to be in San Francisco, and then Chicago. And then finally Los Angeles. So we were so excited.
Yes, and a big shout out to San Francisco and Chicago for turning the museum down.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know what was up with them. Whatever. We want it.
When someone offers you a museum, you say yes.
So on July 11th, we got an email from Lucas Museum Press titled Comic-Con International welcomes George Lucas, Guillermo del Toro, and Doug Chiang for a conversation moderated by Queen Latifah. So I remember I called your name. I was like, Richard, did you see this email? We immediately emailed back asking for panel seats, and lo and behold, we got them.
I gotta say, 9/10 of all my emails are all scams and more scams.
Yes.
So I thought, okay, what are the chances of George Lucas going to Comic-Con? But then I saw that it was going to focus on the Museum of Narrative Art. Mm-hmm. So then I knew it was real.
Yeah, so we had about 2 weeks to anticipate seeing George Lucas in person for the first time for him at Comic-Con. Needless to say, we are really excited about this panel.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So leading up to it, Richard, what did you expect?
I expected a opening date.
Yes, me too.
And I expected to have a rundown of all of the art that was going to be contained in this museum. They've been hyping up all of the new state-of-the-art technology in these theater rooms and these conference rooms. They were going to have some props from the Star Wars films. It's not going to be a Lucasfilm museum, a Lucas museum, but they've teased lightsabers, matte paintings, models. I thought, we're going to get even more information on what is going to be in this museum. So I was chomping at the bit, and we've been to Lucasfilm up in San Francisco, and we saw George Lucas's personal Norman Rockwell collection, which is
beautiful
just
art.
Unbelievably beautiful. So I thought we would get more on that. When you see Norman Rockwell, he's gonna sit there and just stare at his artwork. It just brings you back home again, and apparently does to George Lucas as well. So I thought we would get a lot of focus on that.
And did we mention we thought we'd get an opening date?
Yes.
Did we mention that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of glossed over that.
No, you said it, but I just wanted to reiterate.
Yeah.
It's like George Lucas is coming to Comic-Con. They're having this big Hall H panel. Hall H, if you don't know, is the biggest room at Comic-Con, holds 6,000 plus people, and that's where all the big Marvel panels happen, the big Star Wars panels. So we were really excited. So let's talk about a little bit about what we got.
We got something that was, I think it was put together by corporate because it was just all very surface level stuff, and we didn't really get into the nitty gritty of the museum. Like sometimes when, look, let's take a peek behind the curtain. When we interview some people and the higher echelons, Lucasfilm will say, okay, these are the questions you have to ask, and you can only ask these questions.
Right.
So
you have to submit your questions ahead of time.
Yes. So I think it was very corporate in that we didn't get the nitty gritty that we really wanted, which is odd, which is very, very odd. And sometimes you'll see a panel where the beginning is all of the guests giving a little bit of a background on themselves. Well, this was no different, but each panelist, Lucas and Guillermo del Toro and Doug Chiang, would give their opinions on art and what it means to them. It's like, hey guys, you guys started 10 minutes late, and we're about 35 minutes into the panel, so can we wrap up this part and get to the nitty gritty, please?
But then Queen Latifah was like, all right, are y'all excited for the museum now? And she wrapped it up. And we're like, what? You're missing something.
It's like, you're going to wrap up this phase of the panel. There's another phase coming, right? Where we're going to talk about the museum?
Now, I actually think in the panel itself, they didn't mention 2026 as the opening date. It was only on the poster that we got later that mentions in 2 places opening 2026.
Even on the website, it says opening 2026.
Yes, but they didn't say that at the actual panel.
I think it was in the notes and they just glossed over.
I think so.
Because we did lose 10 minutes of panel time.
We did.
I think a lot of the stuff that we wanted got lost in there.
The panel was 52 minutes. Yes.
But then again, who's going to interrupt George Lucas and Guillermo del Toro?
Yeah. Well, Queen Latifah did, let's say, an excellent job at moderating.
Oh, she did.
Like steering the conversation too, because these guys, they get very much in their heads. They're very passionate about what they're talking about, and that was very clear at the panel. And she would have to kind of steer the conversation a little bit just to make sure they're on the time and everything. And she did a great job.
You can tell she's got stage presence.
Yes.
She got that audience hyped up. So
I
really appreciated that.
I have so many screenshots of her with like, yeah, you guys ready? With her hand up in the air.
She was a great cheerleader.
Yeah. Now, we did also get at this panel seeing George Lucas in person, which was pretty amazing. Guillermo del Toro, I thought he was so eloquent, and Doug Chiang as well, just so humble. We saw him walking in. We were by the media door because we had our media seats, and we saw him walking in with his entourage before the panel. Now, we also got basically a love letter to narrative art and what narrative art is. So we're going to get into that right now. Now, as a reminder, if you want to watch this entire panel, it is on our YouTube channel. It has a ton of comments, so it's actually kind of fun to watch and comment along and comment back to the people who have already commented. And I think it's really, there's like some good conversations happening there.
I would say that all the comments are positive.
Yes, they are. So now we are going to play a few of our personal favorite clips. So first of all, what is narrative art? Queen Latifah explains.
Now, narrative art is storytelling through visual media. Cave paintings, comic books, graffiti, illustrations tell us a story. They evoke emotion in a way that goes beyond words, whether it's a $5 sketch or, off the street, or a $5 million painting at the Met. Each one is equally valuable because each one of them helps us pass on a belief system. You look at cave art and you immediately get the message. We hunt, we gather food, we must work together to survive. You put a superhero comic in a child's hands and they immediately feel we must never back down to the face of evil. These three icons sitting beside me credit narrative art as one of their biggest influencers. And we're here today because my dear friend George wanted to create a space where anyone could come and be inspired by the same art that inspired him.
So basically, narrative art is art that tells a story and evokes emotion.
Yeah, this is something you can do in just a panel of a comic or something in long form. It could be anything. Mm-hmm. And when people say, "Oh, I can't. I'm not an artist. I can't do this." When I was in film school, the teacher would always say, "Well, just if you can't do it, that's more of a motivation to see what you can do." And it was always so fun to see those people who are afraid to do anything about a narrative story. How do I do a narrative story? Because they would always come back with something that was really good. Oh. Like everyone has it in them, and it's just getting over that I can't do to see what you can do.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of artists do the same kind of thing. Break out of your comfort zone. How do I express art in whatever I can do? Like when I was taking those improv comedy classes, the teacher would shove people up on stage. They're like, I don't know what to do. And within like a minute or two of just them thinking it through, they would come up with some pretty fun stories. Maybe not so funny, but a fun story about something they had done that day. It's like, well, that right there is narrative art. It comes in so many different forms.
It really does. And it leads into what they took that narrative art and made movies with it. But it has to start somewhere. And I think that's the seed of their creativity was born of narrative art. Mm-hmm. So let's get into what narrative art means to each of the panelists. And we'll start with George Lucas, because I'm sure you're dying to hear from him.
You've managed to collect upwards of 40,000 pieces of art.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 50 years now. And then it occurred to me that what am I going to do with it all? Because I refuse to sell it. I'm not one of the typical high art collectors who buys And then you come back 5 years later and you say, what happened to that painting you bought? That was so beautiful. Well, I sold it for $10 million. I made a lot of money on it. I said, I could never do that. It just is not what I think art is. I think it's more about a connection, an emotional connection with the work, not how much it cost or what celebrity did it or whatever. It's more a personal thing. And I don't think it's anything that anybody else can tell you. That's art. That's not art. It doesn't work that way. If you have an emotional connection, then it's art. If you don't, then just move on to the next painting. I've discovered just from my experience of making movies and things that, other people's opinions don't mean much. The only thing that really means something is what you do and what you feel about it. And then if you see that other people react to it in a very emotional way, then you say, well, I did my job. That was good.
So I got to say, that's one of my greatest feelings is when someone comes up to us and says, oh, I just heard your episode on this, or I just saw your video and it reminded me of this, or I really liked when you had put this in so many words, or break down the classic Marvel Star Wars comics, and just the conversations that come from it, all coming from an art form.
Mm-hmm. There's a connection, not only emotional connection to art and what you put out into the world, but also just a people connection.
Oh, some of our best friends now have come from the art of podcasting.
Absolutely.
I remember a long time ago, like 1983, I was at a convention, and there was this one piece of art of Luke Skywalker that an artist did. It was an artist alley, and it just, I had just made a Luke Skywalker Jedi outfit, and I was so proud of it. And here was a painting of Luke Skywalker in that Jedi outfit, and I just saw me in that painting, and it cost $50, and back in 1983, that was a king's ransom. I didn't care. I so wanted that painting, and I bought it.
Oh.
I bought that painting, and it was a highlight. And I haven't thought about this painting in years, so I gotta dig that out and just like put it right back over here somewhere.
I think you
because
do.
It was because of that I really felt like I belonged. Here was Luke Skywalker, the biggest hero in 1983. He belonged, and I saw myself in that painting. And it was very powerful. Very emotionally, personally powerful.
You created your own story out of that art.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's hear what Guillermo del Toro has to say about art.
The museum, what is important for me, or what is magical, is not a man and his collection. It's a lineage of images. A lineage of images that have been spoken, and we as storytellers and visual storytellers, we have that vocabulary to see where that thing came from, the etymology of that image. And when you think about that, Noam Chomsky said, the limit of your language is the limit of your universe. If you cannot name something, you cannot own it. The same is true for images. And what is amazing about this collection, it will give you step by step how a form of expression came to inform what we are today.
So very interesting that he's saying that it's very linear. Started with cave drawings and went all the way from just different eras of time, and that was the narrative footprints of art.
Right, and also I feel like he's saying that art informs where we go. Like, we drew man landing on the moon before we ever landed on the moon, kind of a thing. So just like in Jules Verne, wrote about it. Mm-hmm. So there are images about that too.
And everything always builds off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Every form of art. And it gets me to thinking, I wonder how this is going to be laid out, the museum.
Yeah.
Do we have a clip of that? No, we don't, because they didn't go into it. Well, for you personally, do you want to see this laid out linear?
Like in time?
Yeah, starting with the cave drawings and then going up to
I would like that.
Digital
yes.
art. I think that would be.
Yeah, because I feel like you need some kind of path to follow.
Yeah.
On the way through.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be excellent.
I think that would be most educational,
so
people can see 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4, and they can really trace art.
8 and 8 are 16.
We're going to stop this production
4
because
and
Sarah
4
wants a musical
are 8.
interlude.
All right. Yes, so let's hear from Doug Chiang and what he thinks of narrative art.
I grew up loving comic books, and that's how I fell in love with art. And it's one of those things where it was surprising because growing up as a kid in Michigan, you know, art, narrative art, comic book art, magazine illustrations were kind of looked down upon, and it was kind of sad. But it was a way for me to enjoy art, and it invited me to discover more about art. And what I love about what George and Mellody are doing in creating this museum is that it's celebrating and acknowledging and giving respect to an art form that has really, you know, haven't been highlighted before. I mean, I think it's really time to celebrate the artists who have, you know, committed their whole careers to creating this, because it is really hard. And what's terrific for me is that, you know, as an aspiring artist when I was young, I wanted to draw. And this gave me a portal into this world to discover more about it. And what's wonderful about the museum is that it describes all the variety of forms of narrative art. You have Charles Schultz Peanuts, you have Winsor McKay, you have heavy metal magazines, then you have Norman Rockwell and Frank Frazetta and Mobius. Those are all different avenues for a kid to enjoy art and to entice them to come in. One of the things that I found kind of sad though was that, you know, when I was growing up, art, comic book art wasn't taken seriously. It was always diminished. It was kind of like, okay, Doug, you'll outgrow that someday. And I'm so glad I didn't.
I got so many friends who learned how to draw and paint because of comic book art.
I mean, you, if anything, you just learn musculature.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're just looking at these muscles. And...
yeah, and those dynamic poses.
Mm-hmm.
And I all that Renaissance art is fantastic, and it does show where different art forms had started and progressed to. But go look at comic book art. It's just so much fun.
It is. Yeah, so I love that Doug is just talking about, well, he kind of says the same thing that Stan Lee says, whereas when he was working in comic books, you know, he didn't feel like very respected until that all changed, you know, later on. But in the beginning, it wasn't a very respected form of art.
No, it wasn't until I would say the dark days of the Batman comics in the 90s.
Yeah.
That comic books started to get dark and moody and violent, where it wasn't just for kids anymore. You know, honestly, in the 80s, growing up, I turned away from animation and comic books just because, like, that's the kid stuff. I don't want to. I got other things I want to do now. I don't want to do this. Then a friend of mine, Henry, showed me all these different things like Mobius. He showed me Mobius. I had no idea what that was, but it was a different kind of artwork. It was the artwork of Mobius that inspired George Lucas to do the story of the Faithful Wookiee in the holiday special. Oh. That's the Mobius style. And then he wanted to do his droids in that Mobius style. So I started to really blossom in my passion for animation. And then he showed me things like the movie Heavy Metal. It's like, why do I want to watch a movie called Heavy Metal? Then he showed me it's like cartoons can be this R-rated, and it just turned a corner for what I thought animation was gonna be. And then all of a sudden we got like these Pixar movies, which appeals more to adults than to kids because it has a lot of humor that adults can get into as well, and the same themes. So, point in all this, give art a chance.
Yes, even animation.
Yes, you know, you may have your beliefs, but just put those beliefs on hold because it may not be what you think it is. There's a whole, like they've been saying this whole time, there's a whole world of art out there. Don't shut yourself off to just what you know of it, because there's so many different cultures and societies that have their own art. Have you ever seen the Star Wars movie posters from like Poland and all these countries?
Oh no!
Like, whoa! What? How? I wish there were interviews by these artists to go, what led you there? Because I'm sure something did. They saw Star Wars, and this is what just came to them. They saw different stills, and they thought, okay, this is how I'm going to interpret this. It's all about, like they've been saying constantly in this panel, it's all about interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
I had a class once called Art in the Make of Meaning, where you're going to see something and just, what do you get from it?
Oh, yeah.
And
Wow.
the teacher said off the bat, everyone's getting A's, because we shouldn't really be grading something like this, because this
Subjectivity.
is... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, woohoo!
Yeah.
My first A in college. But
Oh,
because of
nice.
that, it really pushed you. It really pushed you, because you weren't focused. You weren't focused on the grade, but you were focused on what it meant to you. And I believe a lot of art schools and film schools, I hate the fact that they would always grade you, because you would want to do something like, oh, I know my teacher's gonna want to see this.
Right.
It's like doing an article where you're gonna put in all these buzzwords just to get the reader's attention instead of your pure intention.
Well, let's bring it back to the panel here.
Oh, I could go on and on and on. But
All right.
we have a full agenda here.
All right. Now, remember, one of the things we expected to hear was what to expect inside the museum. So we got one thing. We got about a minute and a half on this, and it was by Queen Latifah. So let's hear what she has to say about what to expect.
But let me tell you again some of the things that are actually found inside the museum, if you just forgot. Very first, Flash Gordon. Very first character drawing from Flash Gordon from 1934. Original, as in you can see the smudges by all the hands that touched it on the way to getting produced. Never been on display before anywhere, ever. Original sketches from the Peanuts comics from the 50s and 60s. My Charlie Brown? My Snoopy? What? Did y'all not love Lucy kicking the football? Exactly. Come on, the Great Pumpkin. With Sally sat in there all that time. We can go on this. Check this out. Drawn on board with graphite with little text taped to the top and editorial notes written on the side. This is amazing. Original drawings from Iron Man's first cover in 1968. Wow. And an original pen and ink splash of Black Panther from 1968.
Wow. That is so exciting. That is so exciting.
Some original sketches of like these covers would be really neat. Like
one of the original character drawings of Flash Gordon.
Mhm.
Once again, art always inspires the next artist, and how Flash Gordon inspires Luke Skywalker. It's all right there.
Well, and Guillermo del Toro was talking about the etymology of the image. So now you see this original character sketch from Flash Gordon, which then you can then see the actual sketch that was used on the comic and then extrapolate to Luke Skywalker. So yeah, there you go. All right, now we're going to dial it back to 2019.
Okay, but hold on. Before we move on, she was saying what we can expect, and let's see the footage of that. Let's okay, we got that kind of information in the past.
Well, I know. There was no images on screen or anything. They did give us a sizzle reel, however, that we weren't allowed to record, which had some images. And actually, if you go to the Lucas Museum website, lucasmuseum.org, you will also see some images of paintings and sketches that will be there.
Right, but okay, I'm just going to say, when we heard about the Lucas Museum panel, I expected to see so many new interior images. The images on the lucasmuseum.org are great and all, but let's update that. They talked a lot about this state-of-the-art technology and all these big theater rooms.
Well, we have to dial it back to 2019. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So at the 2019 Lucas Museum panel at San Diego Comic-Con, they had a PowerPoint that told you that there was 6 categories of art. They didn't even mention that in this panel. So I don't know if that's changed. It might have changed. Now, at that previous 2019 panel, the panelists were the museum's founding curatorial team: Ryan Linkoff, Anastasia James, and Aaron Curtis. And so the 6 categories of art that they mentioned back then is world art before 1950, American art, children's book illustrations, comic art, photography, and cinema. So listening to this panel now, 2025, do we still think that that's the focus?
Yes.
Right. Like American art and comic art, definitely. I feel like they didn't mention much of photography. They did show some images of cinema and Star Wars in the sizzle reel.
Yes, they did, with a lot of props.
Yeah.
But here it says world art before 1950.
Right.
So that could go back a millennia.
I think that means like the cave paintings and stuff.
Yes, but
that's what that would mean.
Why do specifically 1950? Why not just say, does that not excite everyone? Cave paintings. I think that's the first thing I want to head for, because how old is this stuff? What did this artwork see in history? What was Lug the one painting these things on the side of a wall after he was being chased by a woolly mammoth? There's so much story you could put to each one of these pieces of art.
Who's Lug?
Lug, that's the name of a random caveman that I made up in my head.
Okay.
What do you think of cavemen? What name do you think of? Glurg? Lug? Something that makes a heavy sound.
Bob?
Come on. Well, you know what? You're expressing your art, and there you go. Yeah, so I really wish they had focused a lot more on the different stages of art eras.
I know. I would have liked to have a PowerPoint and a categorical list, but we didn't get that. We got everyone's passion and love, but at one point Queen Latifah did tease that there are no hard edges inside or outside this museum, and she asked George Lucas why this is, but George did not answer. He just went on he did the Zootopia thing. He answered a different question. However, Guillermo del Toro brought it back, and this is what he said.
The shape of the museum for me, it is flow, and what is beautiful is that George is a collector, I'm a collector, but I know I don't own anything. I'm holding it briefly for the next person that is going to hold it or see it. Because we are not eternal. What we hold and what we cherish is. That art will live longer than any of us. And the flow of the museum is like a Mobius strip. It's telling you that. It's just telling you, look, this is for you. And then you're going to bring the next thing. And it's going to continue. And you can drink from the same fountain of knowledge and image and content and power and myth that George and many, many others have been part of.
So why no edges?
Because this art doesn't belong to one person. It's representing the flow of art through time, and that once it's out there, it no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the world, I suppose. And you're gonna hold, like he said, hold it for a while and then pass it on to the next person, and so that art will get into the collective myth of the culture.
So it represents flow.
And yes. Myth.
Okay, there you have it. There you go. Okay. I thought that was a very interesting point that they had made.
Yeah.
Because looking at this museum as we've done the last 6 years, that never dawned on me. I just thought they were going for that very that retro futuristic silver flowy kind of architecture. You look at Star Wars and you see all those round doors and the round windows, and so it made sense. So I just kind of put it all together there. But now knowing that design concept represents flow, I'm loving this even more.
Yeah, the whole shape, it's kind of like an infinity symbol, right?
Yeah, yes, it is.
The whole museum.
Uh-huh.
And so, I guess the inside will also represent that.
George, you should have said to infinity and beyond.
He should have, but he did mention a mission statement for the museum. So we're going to end our panel clips with this.
This museum is dedicated to the idea that stories, mythology, that is written to affect people and to build community is extremely important to society and creating societies and creating community. Art illustrates that story. And the right hand of building a community is you need the art to make it seem real. Even, back in the whether it's the Renaissance or the Stone Age, you'll always have a story that people believe, it's mythology, It's not really true, but people believe it, and it binds them together with a common belief system. That common belief system is what is really important. And what we're doing here with the museum is to try to make people aware of the mythology that we live by, and at the same time, let them have an emotional experience looking at art that does tell the modern mythology.
So he's very much, he used that whole term of the Force, right?
Mm-hmm.
It binds us together. So to him, George Lucas's Force is narrative art. Narrative art binds the galaxy together. It creates community. It helps community flow.
Mm-hmm.
And all those words are binding us together, and that's what this Lucas Museum is about.
It's right there, George. And I love the fact that he keeps mentioning community.
Yes.
We have a lot of community centers in that part of Los Angeles.
Yes.
And we see a lot of those community centers partnering up with the museum down there.
Yes, they have panels in like a bunch of libraries in that area.
Yeah.
That they've been doing even now. So they're not waiting till the museum opens. They are already establishing themselves.
Remind me of that museum that's right there in that area outside the Lucas Museum.
The
one with the
Science Center.
The Science
Exposition.
Yes.
Park.
Yes, the Science Center there. We've gone there a handful of times, and they played these sizzle reels of kids saying that they didn't really know what they were doing in life. These are like 10 or 11-year-old kids.
Oh, yeah.
And this community at this museum helped them make them better. They saw, wait a minute, there's robotics, there's things we can do with science, and it just got their little minds moving. And that built that community down there. So I'm really eager to see what they're going to do with the community in terms of art.
Yeah, because you have this science museum literally within walking distance from an art museum. Science and art right there. I think that's a really cool synergy
and
right
what
there.
I'm really waiting for is when they have like contests, a filmmaking contest or an art contest, just to see what comes out of these kids. And I think we're going to see a whole new generation of artists from that downtown LA community.
Yeah.
George, you are a god. You're a god amongst men. Thank you. And thank you once again to San Francisco and to Chicago for turning down a free $4 billion museum.
Absolutely. And Skywalkers, if you want to get more information about Lucas Museum, just head to their website, lucasmuseum.org. There's a place where you can sign up for information. Like when it opens, I'm sure there's memberships that are going to be available. So yeah, anything you can do, it's going to be right there at lucasmuseum.org.
And you can bet your bottom dollar that there'll be a lot of Skywalking through Neverland meetups there.
Yeah.
Oh, can't wait.
And once again, remember, the museum is opening sometime in 2026.
Someday, January through December.
Yes. That wraps up this episode 524 of
Skywalking Through Neverland.
We want to thank Comic-Con and the Lucas Museum press team for providing us with press seats to the Lucas Museum panel. Thank you so, so much. Now, Skywalkers, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can find all the content from Comic-Con 2025 and past Comic-Cons. And you can also find us on socials at Skywalking Pod.
Now, join us every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific time for Things We Want to Share, where we share what we've done the previous week. Last week, we went all through, half of Comic-Con.
Yes.
We ran out of time. So this coming week, we're going to do the second half of Comic-Con.
Right.
And some other little fun bits of things that we did. And trivia. Always trivia.
And the live stream will be on Sunday, the day before the Monday that we usually do it, because we'll be seeing
Freakier Friday.
Ah!
Don't judge us.
All right. Well, we invite you Skywalkers to come on and share something that you've done or something that you've just added to your collection on these live streams. Now, are you interested in our books? Autographed copies of Today in Star Wars History, Parts 1 and 2, plus Skywalking Through My Fandom, the interactive notebook, are available now from skywalkingthroughneverland.com/book.
Now, do you want to support Skywalking Through Neverland in other ways? Well, consider supporting us through the Skywalking Force, which is our Patreon. The Skywalking Force has their own dedicated podcast feed that contains early access to many episodes and bonus content like an entire John Williams concert from the Hollywood Bowl. Also, the Skywalking Force has access to bonus content like our deep discussions on the Disney Plus shows.
Yeah, and bonus content begins at only $5 a month. So head to skywalkingforce.com and have a look at the options. And thank you, those of you who are already part of the Skywalking Force.
Now, we want to thank our sponsor once again, Small World Vacations, for their continued support. Thinking of a trip to a Disney park, a Disney cruise, or the Universal theme parks? Well, you can fill out a Get a Quote form at smallworldvacations.com today. Their vacation planning service is free of charge. So head over there and tell them Skywalking Through Neverland sent you. You can even use your Peter Brady voice.
And you can use it for this too. We are part of the Skywalking Network.
Skynet.
Oh, no Peter Brady that time.
If Peter Brady were to do this, Skynet.
There you go. Where you can find
when it's time to change, it's time to rearrange who you are and what you want to be. Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na.
I guess I have to watch that
Sha-na-na-na-na. Where you can find great shows like Talking Apes,
Star Wars Ologies,
the Max Effects Podcast,
the Neverland Clubhouse,
Totally Tell Me Everything,
and the YouTube shows Collectopolis and
Today in Star Wars History. Now, don't forget to stick around for bloopers and other fun bits that didn't make it into the show. And
always remember,
sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na,
sha-na-na-na-na, and
Neverland on Alderaan.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Hey, look at those names to the left. They are part of the Skywalking Force, our Patreon.
Become a producer yourself and check out all the Disney Plus themed bonus content available depending on the level you subscribe.
Become a member of the elite Skywalking Force at skywalkingforce.com.